Alright, a very good morning. You're watching West Nile Television. This is the Kokoliriko show that comes every Monday to Friday. Today is the first day of November, and it is a Wednesday that I will be really taking you up with this show, that is the Kokoliriko, to the hour of 9 a.m. And remember, it is just 19 minutes past 7 a.m. and we'll be unpacking a lot of stories that we have seen that are running, that are trending, that are having sense. We'll be really unpacking them here and also trying to digest some of them, but also other issues that may come on our way. We'll be able to really disclose to you what is that breaking news which is coming shortly. Really, you'll be able to get them there right away. And remember, there are so many issues that have been happening from yesterday up to midnight, up to even this morning. They are still trending stories about the Israel-Palestinian war that has continued. And remember, yesterday was an attack on a refugee camp, and where really over 50 of the refugees are really perished in that gunfire exchange. And remember, yesterday was also the time when really a hospital, the city hospital, was MSA was really vandalized by or demolished by the Israeli security forces. And this war has really continued, and we'll be really giving you more updates on this and really what other leaders are trying to say. Remember, most of the world leaders are condemning the attack on the refugee settlements and the hospitals. That has continued to really cause a lot of lives really there. And maybe still not moving far from there, we'll come back to Uganda. Yesterday at around midnight, okay, half past midnight, there was a gun, an armed robbery by suspects who we are putting on armed uniform, that is donning a UPDF uniform, and they were almost lynched to death by community members. And remember, the vigilance of our people has really increased, so the issues of security is very paramount. And this raid was on agent banks that was there in Nansana, and that is in Kampala, that is in Wakiso district. So you will be able to really get more details on some of these. Who are these persons who are really almost lynched to death, and also what does the police say in relation to some of these issues. Those are some of the stories that happened over the night. And remember, the issues to do with floods are really devastating infrastructure and also blocking transport system in West Nile has continued, as the Karuma Bridge that has really always been talked about, including ministries discussing it, including also UNRWA coming up, has been also another issue that is very critical. Remember, community members are actually asking government to really expedite the processes of trying to upgrade or really ensure that a new bridge is constructed at Olio, that is in Pakwach district, in between Pakwach and Karuma, and that is where really we need a new bridge. And that is one big story that will be really unpacking and seeing whether there's sense in them, and also really what you can be able to get from that. As a stakeholder in development, you should be able to understand some of the issues that are happening locally and really also be able to dive into really ionizing some of them. But also maybe slightly moving away from that, moving forward to politics. Remember, there is a new survey that has revealed that young people are being sidelined or have been really locked down because of the commercialization of politics in Uganda, and this has really made the representation of the young people in the 11th parliament very minimal. And if you look at the current parliamentary or the set of parliamentarians right now, you will realize that 12.3% of the MPs are below 35 years of age, and that means the young people are only really are minimal represented, and yet this country is 75% young people, and that is really one report that has come right away, and really want to really digest on that and really see what could be done. What is it that is really stopping young people from participating actively in politics? Is it money only? Is it something different? You can be able to also share with us your views on some of these kind of issues. The report was really published yesterday, and this was during the launch of the youth roadmap, election roadmap, and this is there to help the country understand the dynamics of its politics and also the exercising of its democracy. Remember, the democracy is actually supposed to be really that which is inclusive, which is free and fair for everyone to really do in any kind of participation. Okay, participation can not only be maybe because he is represented and shown, but actively engaging the passions or the young people into politics is one thing that is really needed so much into this. And that is where we really want to really bring you the gist of the biggest stories or the matters that are making rounds across the globe, but also what is happening locally here in Uganda, West Nile, Arua City, and wherever you are. So if you're watching us, watching the television right now, you should be able to participate in this show by moving to the YouTube channel, that is the Kokoliriko Live. You should be able to really share with us your thoughts about some of these topics that I've highlighted, but also what is it that is happening outside there that is very, very catchy and you want us to really discuss here. And those are some of the things that we'll be able to get interested in publishing here for you to see. And also, most importantly, if you can tell us where you're watching us from, which is of a very, very great paramount, and we'll be able to appreciate that and honor that you are watching us from this kind of place. And those who are watching us within Arua City, we say thank you very much. Yesterday was the launch of the Momo electricity purchase system, okay, where people are able to now buy electricity or pay bills through your phones and so on. You only dial in *165 *4 and follow the rest of the options for you to buy. And this is really to stop people from going or lining up at agent selling points. This is one thing that one partnership that has been done by Wenreko and MTN, and this is something said to be a lifelong partnership, which will go a great milestone in as far as empowering the people and connecting people with constant electricity. And once your power has gone off, you should be able to really just dial this and follow those kind of prompts, so that you are able to purchase power at your convenience, other than really waiting for maybe an agent or calling them and they tell you that there's no network and so on, all those kind of things. There is sometimes an inconvenience when you want to do some business and yet you don't have transport to go and buy the power from a long distance. This is really one criteria you can use easily to access power at a cheaper cost. But also there are so many local stories that have been reported from some of these districts. Remember the issue of IRS or the into-residual spray in Koboko district. Authorities are preparing seriously to roll out this, and this comes in the second phase of the first trial. Remember last year we had IRS that was done, and also a lot of things were done to ensure that people are able to come away from the malaria cases that have remained the backlog or the leading disease in Western region. And this is attributed to the behavior of the people, but also the recent statistics show that after the into-residual spray was really contacted around September, November, December, people relaxed for quite like 2 months, and the cases came back. That means people tampered with some of these chemicals that were sprayed on their walls and so on, and maybe others smeared the rooms and shown again, and this really brought a lot of these insects or flies or mosquitoes that somebody will say into their rooms. And there are some people who really shunned the excesses. They refused their houses to be sprayed, and these are the people who have kept the malaria really there again. And as the ministry is rolling this in the second phase, I've seen districts like Jumani Moyo and Maracha all are already in the SAPE trying to make arrangements to conduct the second phase. But also additionally, we are going to receive mosquito nets which are scheduled for this November, and we expect that by the end of the first week of November, there should be a really vigorous sensitization done to the communities, and also really to equip them with the knowledge of how to safely keep these mosquito nets and utilize them maximally, because many times people wash these things, they keep them in sunshine, and yet you're supposed to dry some of them or keep them under shade when you want to dry them, so that the insecticides that have been sprayed on them stay for longer. And also, how do you handle it when you are sleeping? But there are some people who hang the net, but they don't really sleep under the net, but they keep them up and feel like it is hot for them. We need to really move away from some of those things. Those minor things contribute to this surge of malaria that we're seeing across the districts and also in the homesteads, where we are reporting a lot of cases at the OPDs or the outpatient departments where diseases are diagnosed. And this is one thing stakeholders need to really dive so much into. But also in the distribution of the mosquito nets, we need to ensure that all these mosquito nets reach the communities. We have seen situations like LCs trying to possess some of these mosquito nets. They keep them in their homes instead of really distributing them to the people who are supposed to benefit from them. And that's it. And on the brief highlights on the issues that are happening, but also those who are watching us from other parts of this country, we say thank you very, very much. And we welcome you and appreciate that you'll be able to really participate in this show wherever you are at your convenient time through your mobile phones. Let's take a break. We'll be able to come back and discuss more of some of these issues that are happening. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial break. Earlier on, we highlighted on some of the issues that we'll be discussing here. And one of the top stories that we have for you here is the issues to do with the bridge that is inaccessible as of now. Remember, there were so many vehicles that were left stranded with passengers who were actually in need of traveling maybe to Kampala, or others were interested in coming to West Nile region. And this is the bridge that connects West Nile to other parts of the country. And this is the bridge from Pakwach that moves to Karuma Town Council. And this is Olio Bridge, where you realize that many times people have raised issues to do with why this bridge is not constructed or upgraded, but also looking at the issues to do with the economic factor involved in this. Remember, West Nile region is one of the transit routes to Democratic Republic of Congo, the Central African Republic, the South Sudan, and many others. People can even access Kenya from Western region, and this is where Uganda earns a lot of money in terms of revenue, in terms of many other developments. Okay, those are really very, very great contributions of this highway, and that is one reason why really government tried to tarmac the highway from Kampala to Koboko, and that is the main reason. But now, if you look at the state of this bridge, it is quite dilapidated. It is low. With now the climate change, the impacts are very, very immensely witnessed. You realize that close to 500 meters the bridge to the bridge, the road there is really not really passable. Okay, it is impassable by the motorized maybe equipments. Talk about vehicles, talk about the motorcycles and so on. You cannot really pass when it is raining, and that is one issue people are raising. Remember, recently the government released a list of roads that they are going to rehabilitate or upgrade, and one of the things that featured was the Karuma Bridge, which was supposed to be increased or maybe the face be changed, but also raised above, and this is one thing that was featuring. And I remember 3 years back the members of parliament and also the district leadership of Pakwach raised really an alarm and a red flag over this road to Uganda National Roads Authority, that is UNRA, which is mandated to really rehabilitate roads. And according to Omito Steen, who is actually Omito Steen, who is the LC5 of Pakwach district and also the vice chairperson West Nile Local Governments Development Forum, that is WENTA, you realize that many of their efforts have been futile. And he said clearly that 3 years back they gave UNRA really 3 years, which elapsed last year, and nothing has been done. Looking at all the efforts that the local government authorities were able to sit down and have meetings with UNRWA officials and so on, this has never been really attended to. The pleas of the people have never been responded to, and this really affected a lot of transactions in terms of businesses, in terms of movements, in terms of goods, and services are being hampered by this kind of activities. Remember the 7 days or 8 days that were spent when people were using alternative routes through the Machijon Falls, Game Park and so on, which was really a loss to the tourism sector. Remember, for you to pass through that road, you're supposed to pay road tolls and so on. And but because this bridge was not really rehabilitated, UNRWA had to sign an agreement with the Uganda Wildlife Authority to allow people pass with vehicles at a free cost, which was a loss on the side of the tourism department of this country. And if we really do the needful, if we were supposed to really work on this road or the tarmacking, but also including the roads and also upgrading the bridge is very, very important, because if you look at now the current state of the roads are not in a good, very good state, because the tarmacking, according to some of the engineers that we interacted with from UNRWA, it has actually reached its lifespan. It was supposed to, the road was designed to live for 10 years, and which has really moved beyond 10 years. And currently, the road repairs, the minor road repairs may not help much. So it means that we have to actually remove the whole of what is available and really have a better tarmacking afresh, which is quite expensive. But if the bridge will be worked on, and also very good kilometers is really repaired, or very good kilometers of the road is tarmacked from the other sides of the bridge, it will help in at least solving some of the situations right now. And yesterday, you remember 2 days back, people have been really stuck, and accessing either sides of this country was so difficult. And you realize that many times when people fail to really access or move faster, it hampers business. It hampers business. It also affects the economy itself generally. Many people will say doing business in Uganda is made expensive because of the transport costs and also the issues of feeding. And this is really coming from those kind of things. Remember, according to the minister works, that is Katumba Wamala, he is clear that this is work in progress. Government has actually slotted in Karuma Bridge as one of the major constructions that they have put for this coming this coming financial year. So that means by the end of maybe this financial year, we should be expecting some monies dispersed and also works commencing. And that's one thing that we're seeing there, which is sounding to be on a positive note. And once if it is also followed up very well, and that's one thing that government is trying to commit. We hope the commitments will come to fruit, okay, will come to be fruitful, because we've seen promises day in, day out. For instance, the one of electricity, people are tired and they have given up on waiting for those kind of promises, and they are trying to use the available means to really move further. And as government comes in with more of those kind of pledges. Remember the pledges to do with the electricity connectivity of March, May, September. All these have gone, and recently there was another one said to be by 2025, and we're yet to see whether it will be 2025 or 2024. So any of these years, we should be expecting Western region connected to constant electricity that is industrial and reliable. But also, as individuals, we can keep on also really doing something as we wait for that. But also the issues of infrastructure generally in this country has really faced hiccups. Remember the issues of the withdrawal funds or donor support been dwindling because of the environmental crisis and also conflicts in many other parts of this world. Okay, many countries are experiencing conflicts, and there's need for humanitarian aid, and these are things that are really making aid or support from donors reducing. That means we need to have increasing levels of transparency as far as collection of revenue and taxes is concerned. And if we want to really develop our infrastructure, we now need to really look at bringing in the private players to really increase on our service delivery, and make sure that the conditions that we have or the agreements that we sign with them are really that which are friendly and really ensuring that more are attracted into the industry of constructions, and also really increasing the infrastructural weight that we have in this country. And the bridge specifically will really go a long way in addressing some of those gaps which I talked about. Instead of inconveniencing the tourism road that is there in Machison Falls, we should be able to really use this highway straight away. But also look at when people are stuck on the road, you realize that a lot of things happen. This is where the game reserve is also situated. And you realize that interference from wild animals is very, very strong. Many times we have seen drivers knocking animals on the road. We have seen animals threatening passengers because they are waiting for the car, or maybe waiting for the water to be drained off. And the impact of the human the human natural resources interference, and talk about the forests, talk about the wetlands, talk about the major water bodies that we have in this country. Many people, the activities we do really provoke, sometimes we may say, for the lack of words, that provoke these water bodies really to bank their sources, or really move away from the designated routes that they already have. And sometimes you realize that the water levels increase because we have failed to really secure the buffer zones of these waters, okay, water bodies. And when water bodies or the buffer zones are green in nature, you realize that the cases of siltation, the cases of erosion, the cases of flooding tend to be minimal, because many times they are by natural law. You realize that many times some of this water is the speed at which the water flows is reduced at a minimal, because there are many particles, maybe grasses, trees and so on, that are able to at least reduce the speed of this kind of water that is flowing speed at a high speed. And I realize that many times because we have interfered with some of these kind of things, the issues of plastic waste, where people go and dump waste from maybe hospitals, from in industries and so on, including now the bottles that come in to really interfere with where water is supposed to be moving and so on. It brings that kind of overflow where water now jumps over or comes in a volume that is not commensurate to the trench, okay, where it is supposed to pass. And those are some of the things we need to really look at if we want to really do better in terms of in reducing the issues of flooding, but also digging along or around the buffer zones, and also having settlements near the water bodies is another risky issue that is really contributing to this, because we have left the whole surface bare, and all the water from elsewhere really has to really flow to the valleys, the streams, the wetlands that we have, and it inconveniences the volume of water. It makes everything very bad, and also the fertile soil that we have will all be washed away, and that's why we have loss of soil fertility, food production is low, and so on. Everything that is tailored towards environment is affecting every life cycle of a human being, and that's why we say you should be able to really move away from those kind of issues to do with interfering with the ecosystem, interfering with all that is created by nature. We should be able to actually modify or increase the number of trees, increase the number of grasses that we plant. Also make sure that if you are digging down the slope, you should be able to use other available means, or mount some of the soil to ensure that water does not take away the top soil, and water is retained in some of these gardens you have. And that is one thing we can be able to do. But also advocating jointly to ensure that this bridge is done or is constructed is one thing we should be able to do as leaders. Leaders in Western region have really not really been united. All that would what I would say. They have not been jointly pushing the agenda of Western region. If you could see from the perspective of struggles that a local government is the one fighting to ensure that the bridge is constructed, and yet all these districts are accessed through that bridge. So we need to really jointly work together to ensure that this is done, but also the commitments by the Works and the Transport Minister is really fulfilled. It should be fulfilled so that many people are able to engage in businesses, many people are able to pay taxes, many people are able freely able to access our region, or we are able to access other parts of this country, so that service delivery is smooth, because most of the supplies that we get from maybe the entities or ministries come by road. There's nothing that is being flown through the airplane. So it is very, very important that we work on some of these kind of roads, so that we are able to easily be connected to other parts of this country. And that is where really we will ask all the leaders to sit back and also discuss on how best they can be able to fast track some of these pledges that are made by government, to ensure that before even 2026 general elections, we're able to at least get 30% or 50% of the promises that have been put for the people to benefit from government before those kind of periods come. Because when election periods comes or campaigns start, that is another time for more promises or pledges by different people who want to contest, to buy their favors and so on. So that is one thing we need to really look at. If we are not united, we may not really achieve much. So it is upon the leaders in Western region to sit together and really team up to front one voice in order to really be accessed, or really in order to have that kind of infrastructure built. And according to many research that have been conducted by many other organizations, you realize that over 8 million people suffer because of climate shocks or climate change impacts that are really immensely seen in every country, in every community, and it touches the life of every person. And out of these 8 million daily persons who suffer from climate change impacts, you realize that majority of these are coming because of human interference, human beings interfering. But you realize that little is seen from the natural occurrences. I'll talk about the earthquakes, talk about maybe volcanic eruptions and so on. But if you look at the human interference, talk about deforestation, talk about interfering with the buffer zones of rivers, pollution, and also many other things. These are things that I was really discussing about. You realize that many times, if we tend to pay deaf ears to whatever we do on this earth, we continue to really have this kind of things done. Instead of planting grasses, we want to buy artificial turf and so on. We think that we can replace grass with artificial turf. We are just joking around ourselves, because the grasses have unique features, unique responsibilities that they play, or the things that they do that uniquely impact on the nature. Okay, those are some of the things that we'll be able to really see if we really do a lot of really caring for the nature. Okay, that is one thing that which we can really do so much. If we cannot do that, we may not really be away from, even if they construct bridges that are taller than storage facilities, and we cannot even do away with the interference of maybe human interference with the nature. Will not really do much. The bridges will not even last for long. You will see at one point also the bridges collapsing when we have not used them up to maybe 50 years, 20 years, 30 years, just because we cannot really spare that time to care for nature. And the rest of the issues that are tagged towards the infrastructure is the issues to do with mining. Many people are venturing into mining. The mining ranges from low scale to larger scale. Talk about sand mining, which is mostly something people feel like sand, the best sand is got under a bridge, and this is where really we have seen many bridges collapsing across the country. And this is the one mining sector which has not been so much prioritized in terms of monitoring, in terms of regulating, and so on. We have seen that the laws of the law of mining, the Mining Act that we have in this country, which is the 2023, actually 2022 Mining Act, which is recently been amended. You realize that this law actually talks a little about quarrying and also things to do with sand mining, and this is where we really need to stress further, because most of our rocks are getting done because people are illegally doing the quarrying, stone quarrying, and so on. But also talk about bridges are collapsing because people are so much into sand mining, which is one thing which is seen to be a very small venture or activity that few people are dealing in, but it has a very great impact on the lifespan of the bridges that we have in this country. And if you look at recent reports by UNRWA, Uganda actually spends more than 5 trillion in terms of repairing bridges and also the different types of bridges that we have in this country. You realize that out of this, in every financial year, this money is actually supposed to cater for road rehabilitation and so on. But you realize that many bridges are collapsing because of this activity, but also looking at other issues to do with maybe the trucks that we have in this country. Many of these Seno trucks, that heavy trucks that are on these roads, and also the transit goods that access this country, make it very worse that they cannot even now make our bridges last longer. So we need to devise a mechanism of ensuring that we have a long-lasting kind of bridge, and also regulate the activities that are impacting negatively on the infrastructure that is being heavily invested into. Because if we are investing trillions into construction of bridges and it doesn't last for 50 years, that means we are wasting a lot of money in terms of that kind of activity. So we need to have punitive measures in as far as protecting some of these infrastructure that are put at a higher cost in this country, really, to ensure that they are not really vandalized, or in any way any activity is not able to really interfere with the progress or with the working of the infrastructure that is being put in place. And that is where we need the law enforcement officers. That's where we need the bylaws in these districts or local governments to ensure that at every stage, even from the village, the LCs have a stake in ensuring that the communities that are living around these bridges do not interfere with those kind of constructions. If you want to do sand mining, it's to be far away from the bridge, or so looking at where the sand is kept. It should be maybe 500 meters away from the buffer zone of the river, and so on. And those are some of the regulations that could be put in some of the clauses to make sure that those who are engaged in the mining have the environmental social impact assessments done, but also have the environmental restoration plans really provided. Because mining is not a one-day venture, because many times when people enter into these activities, because of the readiness of the money that comes with this kind of activities, because the demand for these materials is high, and many people really want to venture into it, and to really run away from poverty that is killing them. They want to really engage so much into those kind of things, and this really affects the budgetary allocations for UNRWA and also many other entities that are into the road sector. And you realize that Ministry of Finance has also been really complaining about the supplementaries, or the need for money at a shortest period of time, when even most of the bridges across the country were collapsing, as if it was a joint venture that all of them should collapse during rainy season. And that is how we could be able to really prevent some of these kind of occurrences across our bridges. So the bridge at Pakwach is very, very important. Just like I highlighted, we need to really do something for it, to really be able to do a lot of things to improve on our income level, because the regional city is located here in Arua city, but also for people to access the city, they need the bridge be really very cleared. It should be really well catered for many people to do transactions. And that is it on the bridge. And as travelers are demanding for the bridge, and let the leaders also unite to ensure that this is also done. For those of you who are watching us right now, you should be able to share with us your thoughts about these kind of issues, what you think can be done in order to really prevent that frequent occurrence of flooding at Pakwach bridge, and also looking at different remedies that can be provided to ensure that we are able to have free movement of goods and services into West Nile and out of West Nile region from other parts of this country. And that is it. And we have so many tourism centers. We have so many kind of things that many people can wish to come and see. But because we cannot have a very good road, sometimes it limits our access or the sale capacity of this region to be exploited or to be really exposed to some of those kind of opportunities. But also those who are watching us now, you can now comment or really share with us where you're watching us from. But also, if you want to have a business with West Nile TV, you can really move to the email box and inbox the station using the email account, that is the email address, that is West Nile TV station at gmail.com. But also you can dial the telephone number 07652 82281, and that's where you'll be able to really have discussions with the management to see what you can be able to showcase to the world, and also be marketed for you to have that business flowing with other traders from elsewhere, and so on and so on. Let's take a break from here, and we'll be able to move to other issues that are making rounds in the top stories right here. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Beyond Star Times, the Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial break. Earlier we were discussing the issues to do with the travelers crying for a longer bridge. Okay, the bridge that is there is seen to be shorter and that's why you see the water is taking another route, okay? And that is one thing that is actually spoiling the roads and also really making interfering with the movement of the people. And you realize that this bridge that is currently in a state in a state of dilapidation is one thing that will really be able to talk about. And many people want access to better services, but how do we get to that better services? We have different players in this. We have government who is supposed to really do those kind of hybrid constructions, and if you talk about hybrid constructions, these are things to do with bridges, things to do with also culverts, okay? There's no individual who is supposed to really construct a road, okay? That is very, very clear. By the Constitution, it's the mandate of government to venture into those kind of constructions. Remember, we have seen many people trying to do fundraising to put box culverts, and some of them have been arrested in some parts of this country, and that is coming because it is not your mandate to do what is supposed to be done by government. And if you look at many times that people have been demanding for the upgrade of some of these roads. Talk about the Pakwach Arua Bridge, actually Arua roads, and you realize that the time spent on this road is an equivalent of actually moving to up to maybe I will say up to DRC, Ituri province. Going to Ituri province from Arua city is made shorter than even moving to Pakwach. Okay, and that makes it very difficult. Moving to Pakwach is not really more than 100 and something kilometers, but moving to Ituri province, you can move the province headquarters. You can reach up to 200 kilometers. And you realize that somebody who is moving to Congo is reaching faster than reaching to Pakwach, which is just a few kilometers from here. And those are some of the things we need to really look at. If we want to have a regional balance in terms of development, let's look at the key priority areas. What are those things that are seen in other parts of the country and that are not really done in other parts of the country? What are the priorities of some of these regions? Maybe the priority for Western region might not be the issues to do with the distribution of fruits, okay, fruit trees or seedlings and so on, but it might be people need market. It might be people need constant electricity. It might be people need their roads tarmacked to access markets. And these are some of the priorities. It should not be decided from the head, maybe from the MPs or from the ministries, but it should be something that is coming from the people. We need to consult people as we are bringing developments into their areas. And this is one thing that has featured many or several financial years. We have seen the issues of Pakwach Bridge or Karuma Bridge coming several times on the budget, and it has never been funded. And this is one thing that really this coming financial year, as a government is consulting citizens now, this should be one of the priorities for Western region on top of some of the promises that have been put. This will be one of the priority areas that we should be able to see it being executed next financial year. But also looking at the road should be really tarmacked afresh, because if you look at the current contractor that is undertaking the fixing of the potholes and so on, trying to rehabilitate the road, you will see that clearly somebody is using maram to really fix potholes on a tarmac. So what kind of relationship is that? And that's one thing I feel we've tapped it wrong in terms of really we're actually wasting resources. Instead of using those little resources to maybe tarmac the road afresh, and if it stops somewhere, we look for more money to complete the phase, or in the next financial year, we start the other set and complete it later on. It will be much better if we do it one way instead of really bringing maram and dump it on a tarmac, and it looks weird when it rains, and you see really people's vehicles looking as if they were from a village and yet they are from a city and coming to another city. You see that, and that is it. And for us to improve on this, I will be able to really move to some of these comments that people have written here. We will be able to project them and read them aloud, and you keep them coming. I will be able to read them here. And let's move away from that and move to other stories. Maybe let me read this immediately. Stephen Ababo is one person who is saying good morning and happy new month. I am watching you from Nebi Town, and my concern now is my concern now is the access roads in to and out of Western region through Pakwach. The government needs to fix the bridge, and that is one thing that is coming from Stephen Ababo from Nebi Town. Thank you very much, dear bro, and you should be able to really share more, and those who are watching will be able to do the same to you as you bring your comments coming. And this issue of the bridge is not really one man's show. It is something that many people have talked about, and also the roads that have just highlighted as you have been able to see here. And many times these concerns are raised, and they need to be really responded to, just like the Minister for Works and Transport, that is Katumba Wamala, who said that actually they are in high gear of expediting the process of trying to start upgrading the bridge. So we hope this will be able to come timely, and making sure that the road is also tarmacked afresh is one thing, one cry that business communities are putting here forth. And let's move away from that. As I said earlier on, the issues to do with armed robbery is still increasing in Uganda. Remember yesterday there were 4 people who were almost lynched to death at around midnight. That is just like 35 minutes past the hour of midnight. That is 12 o'clock, and these are people who were donning the UPDF uniform, who were really got by locals. They almost killed them, but they were rescued by the security forces. And these people were said to have come within Nansana, and some of the officers who are said to be putting on the UPDF uniform are receiving treatment in the hospital right now. And if you look at that story, you realize that these are people who went to raid a financial institution or the agent banks in Nansana municipality, that is in Wakisho district. And looking at this story, you realize that these people almost escaped with 8 million Ugandan shillings from the agent bankers. Okay, these agent banks agents were actually moving to go and deposit these monies at a nearby Equity Bank, which was located around the same area. And you realize that because they were able to make alarm, people really came out for rescue, and these officers were arrested and beaten to almost coma, and that's where really they were rescued. And this is not the only situation that we have seen. We have seen in Western region the same kind of things happening year in, year out. And remember, from the start of this year, we saw cases of armed robbery in Oleba Trading Center, that is in Marasa district, and the armed robberies. The suspected armed robbers took off to DRC Congo, and this resulted into security alerts and so many guns were actually picked from the communities, and this was really one thing that was so much witnessed. But also in April this year we saw another scenario here in Arua City, where a businessman was really put to gunpoint, and his 32 million Ugandan shillings was picked along the airfield, along the airfield road, that actually the road that is Rhinocombe Road that leads around the airfield. And this man was actually from his car trying to move to home, but these armed robbers put him on gunpoint, and his money was picked, and these persons were not really got. And beyond that, there were so many robbery of occurrences around May, June, July, and so on, all in Western region. So many of these were reported, but none of the persons were arrested. But to the best of the banking agents and so on, the people who were targeted, they were rescued by the community members. And this is one thing we need to really do as people who want to really go far in as far as the issues of security is concerned. And if you look at that story there, the police spokesperson for actually the deputy police spokesperson, that is Oyeshijire, actually confirmed that they have these 4 people in their custody. Actually, they are receiving treatment currently, and they are liaising with the UPDF to ensure that these people are handed over to the UPDF to confirm whether these are their officers or not. And that is one thing that is already trending currently in this country. And if you look at that story into broader perspective, you realize that these people actually are, most of them are people around the Wakiso area, and these are people who had actually planned this for this deal for quite a good time. From the conversations from eyewitnesses, you realize that these people who are currently receiving treatment at Mulago National Referral Hospital are said to have targeted these banking agents, or the agents of Centenary Bank. These agent bankers are from Centenary Bank, and they were actually robbed for 80 million Ugandan shillings, and this is one thing that has been identified there. And according to one of the eyewitnesses, and these people came at around the hour of just a few minutes to 1 a.m. and they came in a group. They came like in 4 in a car, and all of them came out and started assaulting these guys from there. And you realize that because of the awareness that was already created by the agent bankers who made an alarm at around that time, which I said was just like 27 minutes to 1 a.m., these members of the community came in large numbers and rescued the situation. And the vehicle that was carrying these people was with the registration number, which is actually a Toyota Harrier with a registration number UBN, which is 824, which was driven by a 25-year-old Ugandan who is also a resident around this area. And you realize that many of these issues continue to occur across the country, and it is always hard to actually net these kind of people because many times cases are reported to police when it has taken quite a long period of time. Maybe people fear to report timely because they might be seen reporting. Sometimes people fear to report when these kind of issues come their way. And it is very, very prudent enough that when you are reporting such kind of issues, you should be also in the hideout. You should be finding a convenient place, because there are some people who might be their allies and who might see you reporting those kind of issues. And that is one thing people were able to do, and trying to threaten them and shutting them down before even shooting any other person was one very, very good situation that we'll be able to really talk about. You surviving from the hands of an armed person is one thing you need to praise the Lord for, because ideal, once you're already on a gunpoint, there's no option that you can do. You only surrender everything because you still need your life. And those are things really we need to talk about. We need to sensitize people about some of these kind of things and prepare their minds on how they should be able to really do better in terms of helping one another, in terms of also the security, but also the agent banks. When you are operating, really, you need to look at the security. At this time, you are still transferring money. That means you had actually sold off your life. You should not really repeat that, because it is not really good to transfer physical money just at night like that. Many times we have seen many now banks using security systems to transport money. We have vehicles that are at least better in terms of, maybe if there's a robbery occurring, it is not easy to unlock such vehicles and so on. Money comes to be safe, because if you lose 80 million, that means many clients have lost their monies. Okay, it becomes a burden to the bank. Because for me, if I am to tally my salary or my money that I always keep in the bank, it doesn't even reach 80 million. So that means there are so many people whose monies have been accumulating that you are taking. That means you limit many people in accessing their monies, and also it becomes a burden to your family. But also, worst is the issues to do with life. Life is very, very precious. For us to keep longer, we need to first mind of the life, other than talking about the money. Okay, it's very, very important. And also, if you look at the reports that are coming there, the two of the people who were picked from there were putting on army uniform, that is the UPDF and uniform, and you realize that these who were putting on the uniform had guns in their hands, and it is hard really to see where they are coming from. But according to the Metropolitan Police spokesperson, Deputy Police spokesperson, that is Mr. Luke Oyeshijire, these officers said to have come from a nearby barracks, that is the brigade barracks, and which has been named, but you realize that this is yet pending verification, because many times many people disguise to be the officers serving either in the police or in the army, and yet they are just picking these uniforms from elsewhere, or maybe using their colleagues' things and so on. We saw the situation of the Indian business person, money lender, who was shot dead by a police officer who went and actually picked another a colleague's gun. And these are things that are yet to be verified to see whether this was the gun belonging to the UPDF, and also the uniforms are they really attached to the said barracks and so on. These are things that are pending verification that we may not really disclose so much, but also talking about the aspect of safety and so on. It is quite very, very serious that we need all to look at what to do. And remember, the first day of November comes as the start of a festivity for those who are Christians. For those who are they are believers, you really know that this is the time for faith, and many people will really devoting their time to go to worship centers, take their time to praise the Lord, and so do all those kind of things, and leave behind their families or business places and so on. which is quite risky, and the security of your homes, leaving your home at around wee hours of the night is very, very dangerous right now. We need to talk about the safety. We need to now talk about how we should be able to safeguard our business premises. Now, if you are locking your businesses at around 10, you should be now adjusting your time to around 8, okay? Where people are still there busy and so on, that's where you can close. And if the business place is not really that which is secured, or maybe that does not have security so tight, you should be able to close by 6 so that you have another business to open tomorrow, because you still need money tomorrow. Not only that, you need money today, and also your life is very, very important, and that's one thing we need to take positively. But also at homes, animals looting and also stealing, theft is going to increase at this kind of hour, because festivities come with those kind of things. People want to steal other people's animals, they want to sell them, they want to also taking care of the children. Also, abductions are all over, and also we need to really look at those kind of things. People abduct other people's children, others traffic, and so on. Now that students are starting to come back home, you will see that many people will begin to advertise fake jobs, where people are conned and so on. These are all security challenges that come with festivities, and so we need to look at different avenues to control some of these kind of things from the start, but also looking at other ways of seeing other alternatives on how we can busy engage our young people who are coming from schools, from P7 up to these other tertiary institutions, who are going to be coming to our midst in the communities. We need to look at those kind of things and see to it that many people who come home should be able to really get engaged into some other constructive activities that are of very, very good importance. And we should be able to really look at all those and see to it that we'll be able to digest where we are able to get income, where we're able to have a selfless or a very good life to live. Because if we cannot talk about security at personal level, there's no way we can talk about security at national level, at community level, at international level, in our own settings. And all this can be done when we relate well with neighbors, and your neighbor can be helping you at every situation, at any situation, if you relate well with them. Because at some point you can leave to go for work at home when the neighbor is around, and that becomes your security. And if you don't relate well with them, something might be happening wrong, but they may not help you out when you are not there. And this is one thing we need to do at personal level. But also increasing awareness on these kind of things. People who are where, they don't come from somewhere. They are living with us here. There are people who have a negative perception on other people's progress. So it is high time we tap onto some of those kind of things. Who is this person? What is he doing in this community? What is it that is doing that is not really rhyming with what the community deserves? Those are things we need to share with security earlier, and that's what we call surveillance. We need to really alert the security earlier so that they are able to prepare ahead before some of these kind of issues come out. And the financial institutions, including also now the mobile money, agent points, and many people who handle money, we need to look at where our businesses are stationed and look at the time of business transaction if we want to really come away from these kind of things. The issues of guns ending up into unscrupulous hands, people who are not supposed to use guns. The security agencies, let's also tighten the belts. Let's also look at the movement of these guns. How are they moving away from the customs, okay, where they are supposed to be? This is one thing we need to look at, because I'm meant to understand that Uganda recently conducted registration of guns. Where are some of these guns coming from? We need to look at those existing gaps, because we have the ADF rebels that have been really trying to scare locals or communities in this country, but also the M23 rebels at some point coming. But is it the M23 rebels? Is it the ADF that are coming? Is it our own officers who are doing this? We need to really design a very huge strategy, a bulk one, really to curb this kind of issue that is happening now. Because if we cannot really work together in addressing this kind of thing, we may not know where the fault is, or where the gap is, because we may be treating it as ADF rebels, yet some of our officers are the ones coming in. But I'm not saying that though they were putting on the UPDF uniform, I'm not saying that those are confirmed officers of belonging to UPDF, but it is under scrutiny that we'll be able to get the detailed analysis of whether these suspects were UPDF officers or these were camouflagers who were really just trying to defame the image of the UPDF that we have in this country. We have known UPDF of being one of the disciplined forces that has been recognized across the country, and we hope that punitive measures will be taken against the suspects that have been netted upon interrogations and investigations. Let's take a break. I will be able to come back to discuss other issues that are happening, and also this being the last segment that is coming, you can be able to share with us your comments and also share with us what is there happening out there, and also how best we can help our people to come out from this kind of insecurities that come at a wrong time of the night or the day at any time. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right. Welcome back from that commercial break. Earlier on, we are discussing the issues of insecurities that are being witnessed in Uganda, and also really the last night's tragedy that happened at around 27 minutes to 1 a.m. That is in Nansana municipality, that is in Wakiso district, and also where the suspects are identified to be donning the UPDF uniform, and that is one critical issue that I feel like it needs a lot of urgent attention from security agencies, but also looking at many other players in terms of ensuring the safety of the people, because UPDF by its mandate is supposed to ensure that there is safety and the security of the people is up to date, but also looking at how really the boundaries of the country in terms of security, promoting Pan-Africanism is concerned, is one thing that UPDF does so much. And looking at this kind of situations, that is actually spoiling the soup for the UPDF as a security force. And they can really do something around this so that we see that there's change in terms of the way people handle guns. Is it the UPDF officers? Is it not the UPDF officers? Is one thing that will be updating you up with in the subsequent discussions that we'll be having here on West Nile TV. But I will be following up on that story. It's one thing that is still developing, and also the updates will be able to issue to you at a later time, or maybe in the due course of the week. And that is it. And if you look at many other stories that are trending now, the attack by Israel now on Palestine, that is Gaza, is very, very, very immensely seen, and many people have died. Thousands are losing their lives, property destroyed, and also the attacks on the refugee camp is one thing that the world leaders are really talking about. And that attack is what most of the world leaders are condemning. The anger is growing, and that means there's need for concerted effort to ensure that the war or the attack by Israel now has to come to a close. And how does this come to a close? The world leaders have suggested so many avenues here that really there's need to team up and really have a joint effort to at least put a reasonable effort of putting down the energy that is injected by Israel on Gaza really down. Because according to most of the reports that we're seeing here, 50 people have actually died in the refugee settlement, and many others have continued to die. This is a report that has been said 1 hour ago, and that means many things are still going on and on in that area. And this really is really one thing that is unfortunate, because we expect that in a refugee settlement or a refugee camp is where really people go for refuge. People go to look for where comfortable they can be. And these are people who have lost their dear ones, people who have lost all that the property they had. There are people who have, some of them have run there naked, others do not have where to eat, and so on. They are still trying to reorganize themselves, and there's no aid that has been so much rendered there. And this is one thing that is really so quite unfortunate, and shaping the world and really trying to bring the eyes to a downfall where tears are rolling all over the face of every world leader. And that is one thing really people are talking about. And if you look at some of the statements from some of the world leaders, it is they're actually trying to say that it is actually quite unfortunate that these kind of issues are still coming. And you realize that one of the leaders said that actually it is Israel that has said that it is not really right to go and attack the refugee settlements. And there's need for the leaders across the world to actually team up to go and put the fight to a close, because it doesn't make sense that when you go beyond the limits, because ideal refugee settlement is where any person from any country can be able to go and have comfort, okay? Comfort in terms of having the heart consoled from those kind of devastating issues that are coming that were really heart-threatening and also really trying to interfere with the life of the people. And this is one thing that is coming up there. But also looking at many other leaders, the UN Secretary General has actually said there's need to extend aid in terms of food, in terms of clothing, in terms of shelter, in terms of other things, because really many people are really facing it rough down there in Palestine. And if you look at the attack yesterday, the Israelis actually went ahead to actually destroy the city's hospital, and this is one thing that is quite unfortunate. And where do you think those who have been injured can go for medication? Where do you think whatever will be coming maybe from the other sides, even the injured officers from Israel need treatment? So where do you think they can be able to get the treatment from? It is only from a hospital that you will be able to get that kind of service. Now that the hospital is demolished, and also some of the mosques, the churches and so on, worship places have all been demolished, including business centers and so on. That is one thing which is quite unfortunate. And we condemn those kind of really occurrences. And I don't understand why many times many leaders fail to sit down and iron some of these kind of issues. Okay, for instance, if there's a challenge to do with the cross-border maybe security within countries, there should be a mechanism derived to look at how they should be able to sit together as governments and see to it that they are able to come together to consensus or maybe agree by themselves and forge ways forward, instead of giving maybe challenge or massive killings of civilians who do not even have anything to do with the international borders, international trade, international insecurities, or the national security, because the citizens are there. You are their servants, you are their leaders, you are their everything to make sure that your people are safe, make sure that your people are able to really do the basic human rights, they are able to get them. And it is upon your leadership that people are able to really get some of these kind of things. But if they are not really well given them the chance to take up those kind of mantles, it is quite unfortunate that people may not really do much in terms of getting those services, in terms of also benefiting from such kind of ventures. And these wars have continued to be there, and we show the one that was there in the Russia, the Ukrainian war, which is not coming to still to an end, and it is continuing, and yet we are seeing more of these wars breaking across the world. What is it that at the world level, what is it that the world leadership can do to really put to an end to these kind of things? And the UN agencies, they needed to really sit down and have this done, because if we cannot really do something around this area, we may not really do much in terms of improving the economies or developing the world together, because most of the nations will be hating each other. Countries may not really be able to trade together. But now if we are in a global village where everything is interconnected, and when things are interconnected, we should be having relationships that are fertile, that are really be able to reproduce, that are able to actually give us light to have a better life to live. And for us to live better, we need to embrace the mutual ways of handling things. Having consensus, having agreements fulfilled is one I think that is very, very important. But also every nation actually depends on one another. For us to do better things, we have to rely on services, or we have to extend our services to other nations in a very amicable way, so that we grow up the relationship. But the underlying headline here means that the war has persisted and it is continuing. So we have to see what the world leaders will decide, because there is expected an emergency international meeting that is expected to be tonight, and we are yet to see what the outcomes of the meeting will be, and this will be really what will be unpacking for you tomorrow morning. And for those of you who have been watching us from the time go, actually start to the time we are coming to a close, we say thank you very much for having that time with us. And also we appreciate the comments that have been able to come through, and specifically the concerns that are coming from the people like Stephen Ababo, who was able to share from the municipality about the poor state of the roads that we have, but also the infrastructure that we are not able to access easily. For instance, the Pakwach Bridge that he was able to hint to directly, and that is one thing, the spirit that we want to motivate each and every person. But in subsequent developments, you'll be able to see a live coverage of some of these updates in the morning. That will be also introduced in the first or the second hour of the show, that you'll be able to see in the near future. And those are developments that we'll be able to bring to you as the viewers here and from West Nile TV. And behind the camera, we have been really powered or really zoomed clearly by Dijon Pro, who has been there to really show to you what is actually happening here at West Nile TV. But also behind the production department, there, the one who is behind the writings and shown is Aldo, who is seated right away in the control room. And also up next, we'll be having actually the news in Lubarati that will be brought to you by a team led by Fetai Manuel and the chief news editor, that is Farish Majid, who is handling the Lubara news section. But also the Nilecast will be closing the day in the evening at around 7. You'll be able to get the news in English that will be brought to you by Christine Okumuringa, who is the chief news editor at West Nile TV. We appreciate you and the time you have spent throughout the last month, and also this new month. We hope you will be able to have fruitful deliberations and activities done. Thank you very much. I'm out of the studios.